My friends, today we gather to discuss a moment that has captured the attention of markets, ministries, and media far beyond our borders, a landmark $2.6 billion soybean partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Some call it a shock, I call it a signal, a bright, unmissable signal that our nation is ready to turn fertile land into lasting prosperity, ready to convert hard work into export receipts, and ready to compete on the world stage with integrity and ambition. Why soybeans? Because they sit at the crossroads of food security and industrial growth. They are a source of protein for families, feed for poultry and livestock, oil for kitchens, and raw material for soaps, biodiesel, and countless manufactured goods. With a single crop, we can strengthen smallholder incomes, anchor processing industries, boost export earnings, and build a platform for research and innovation. This agreement is not just about selling grain, it is about building an ecosystem. Let us begin with the farmer. The heart of this deal beats in the fields, on family plots, and cooperative lands where sunrise is the daily call to action. The partnership provides long-term offtake certainty. That means secure buyers at predictable volumes and fair prices, reducing the ruinous volatility that has too often crushed smallholders. With guaranteed demand, farmers can plan, banks can lend, and input suppliers can stock quality seed, inoculants, fertilizer, and irrigation kits with confidence. We will put in place contract farming frameworks that protect both sides, clearly defined quality standards, transparent grading at collection points, and on-time payments that go straight to mobile wallets or bank accounts. No more middlemen who skim the cream while the producer takes the risk. If the field is the heart, logistics is the bloodstream. Grain moves on roads, rails, and rivers before it sails to distant ports. This agreement is a catalyst for a modern supply chain, rural aggregation centers with moisture meters and calibrated scales, certified warehouses connected to a national receipt system, and rail or high-capacity trucking corridors to crushing plants and international terminals. Every link will be mapped, measured, and improved. We will deploy digital traceability from seed lot to shipment, so buyers can scan a code and know the region, the farm cluster, the storage history, and quality tests. Trust is the currency of global trade. Traceability is the mint that prints it. We must talk about processing, because value is not in the harvest alone, it is in the transformation. Alongside raw grain exports, we will build crushing and refining capacity so that a significant share of production becomes soybean meal and oil here at home. Meal will feed a domestic poultry and dairy renaissance, lowering feed costs and stabilizing food prices. Oil will stock our markets and supply regional neighbors. Refining byproducts, lecithin and glycerin, will seed small manufacturing businesses that make everything from baked goods to cosmetics. By upgrading the value chain, a truck that once left the farm with raw beans will return with jobs, training, and taxes that fund clinics and classrooms. Finance is the ballast that keeps this ship steady. We will structure investment through a mix of concessional credit for smallholders, risk-sharing facilities for cooperatives, and long-term capital for processing plants. We will welcome Islamic finance instruments such as Salam and Istisna contracts where appropriate, and consider Sukuk for large-scale infrastructure because a diverse financing base keeps costs predictable and reduces exposure to external shocks. Every loan and guarantee will meet strict transparency conditions with interest rates, maturities, and performance benchmarks published and monitored. Some worry that a big deal invites big problems, land conflicts, monoculture, environmental harm. These risks are real and manageable. The answer is not to retreat, but to govern boldly and fairly. Land must be secured with clear titles or long-term leases that respect customary rights and community consent. We will prohibit the displacement of families without voluntary agreements and fair compensation that includes alternative land, housing, and livelihoods. We will not sign a single hectare into production unless environmental and social impact assessments have been completed, published, and debated publicly. Environmental stewardship begins with the seed and ends with the soil. We will prioritize climate-smart practices, minimum tillage to preserve soil structure, cover crops to fix nitrogen, contour planting to reduce erosion, and agroforestry belts that shield fields from wind and nurture biodiversity. Water will be managed with precision, drip irrigation where viable, lined canals to prevent seepage, and soil moisture sensors that guide inputs. Fertilizer will be applied based on soil tests, not guesswork, and biological inoculants will improve nodulation so plants draw nitrogen from the air, not from expensive imported inputs. Where irrigation relies on aquifers, we will set quotas and install meters. Where it depends on rivers, we will coordinate with upstream and downstream communities to protect ecosystems. Good agronomy is good economics. Healthy soils yield stable profits, and stable profits keep families on the land. We must also guard against a single crop trap. Sorry may lead, but it should not monopolize. Crop rotation with maize, sorghum, cowpea, sesame, or groundnut will be part of contract designs, reducing pest pressure and sustaining soil health. Offtake contracts can be written to reward rotation with price premiums or bundled services, and because markets move, a diversified farm portfolio will protect households when global prices dip. Resilience is the real measure of success. Standards are the passport to premium markets. We will align production with international certifications, good agricultural practices, ISO food safety standards, and where demanded, non-GMO segregation protocols. Dedicated storage and transport lines will maintain identity-preserved lots when buyers pay for them. Independent labs will verify aflatoxin levels, moisture, and protein content. We will publish these metrics in near real time on a public dashboard so farmers, buyers, and citizens can track progress and hold us accountable. Sunlight breeds confidence. People make systems. That is why training is as vital as land and capital. Agronomists, extension officers, machine operators, lab technicians, quality auditors, and logistics planners will be recruited and trained through a national soybean academy, a partnership of universities, cooperatives, and private firms. We will certify skills so a young technician from a rural town can find work in any crushing plant or aggregation center in the country. We will place special emphasis on women and youth, subsidize training seats, childcare at training sites, and microfinance that backs business plans for women-led cooperatives and youth-led transport or services companies. Inclusion is not charity, it is a competitive advantage. A wider talent pool builds faster and sustains longer. Jobs matter, and not only in the field. Construction of plants and warehouses will hire masons, electricians, welders, and drivers. Operations will employ lab analysts, quality managers, accountants, and IT specialists. Ancillary businesses will flourish. Packaging manufacturers, bagging suppliers, pallet makers, and truck maintenance shops. The $2.6 billion headline is a promise to small firms as much as to big ones. It says, if you learn the standards, deliver on time and price fairly, there is a place for you in this economy. Trade corridors are our arteries to the sea. We will negotiate reliable cross-border access with neighboring states, streamline customs through single windows, and invest in dry ports that speed up documentation and reduce congestion at maritime terminals. Smart, sealed containers equipped with GPS will reduce theft and loss. Freight contracts will set performance targets for turnaround times, and penalties will apply when targets are missed. Reliability is as valuable to a buyer as price. We will sell both. Foreign exchange stability is one of the quiet benefits of this deal. As exports rise, the inflow of hard currency will ease pressure on the exchange rate. We will channel part of these earnings into a stabilization fund that cushions farmers if global prices suddenly fall and supports input subsidies during drought. Prudent macroeconomic management means saving in good seasons to survive the lean ones. The goal is steady growth, not sugar highs. Public health and nutrition will gain too. Soy's protein can be a cornerstone of affordable school feeding programs, enriching diets and improving learning outcomes. We will incentivize local food processors to create fortified soy-based products for domestic markets with tax credits tied to nutritional standards. A healthy child learns better. A healthier population works better. A productive workforce attracts more investment. Development is an ecosystem. Partnership with Saudi Arabia is above all a partnership of interests. Their priority is food security. Ours is inclusive growth. When interests align, cooperation moves quickly. But alignment without transparency can breed suspicion. That is why this agreement will be fully documented, audited, and periodically reviewed in public. We will publish the key terms that can be disclosed, including pricing formulas, volume commitments, local content requirements, environmental safeguards, and dispute resolution mechanisms. We will establish a joint steering committee with equal seats for government, producer associations, and independent experts, and we will give citizens a seat at the table through civil society observers and public comment periods on major decisions. Risk cannot be eliminated, but it can be priced and shared. Weather index insurance will be offered to smallholders so drought does not turn credit into catastrophe. Currency risk can be partially hedged via forward contracts tied to offtake cycles. Quality risk will be managed with pre-shipment inspection and standardized sampling protocols. Logistics risk will be addressed by diversifying routes and carriers. When a system acknowledges risk at every step, shocks become setbacks, not disasters. Technology will accelerate everything. Satellite imagery and drone surveys will monitor crop growth and verify compliance with land and water safeguards. Mobile platforms will deliver agronomy tips, market prices, and weather alerts in local languages. IoT sensors in warehouses will track temperature and humidity to prevent spoilage. AI-driven routing will optimize truck fleets to cut fuel costs and emissions. None of this technology replaces the farmer's eye or the manager's judgment. It enhances them. We are not naive about geopolitical winds. Food politics can be fickle. Export bans and import quotas can spring up overnight. That is why the agreement includes clauses for dispute resolution, force majeure, and diversification of destination markets. We will continue to cultivate regional buyers alongside long-distance partners so no single contract holds us hostage. Sovereignty is not isolation. Sovereignty is choice. Let us speak directly to communities whose lands will host the biggest investments. Development must arrive as a guest, not as a conqueror. Community development agreements will guarantee local hiring targets, scholarship programs for youth, clinics and water points co-funded by project revenues, and grievance mechanisms that respond within fixed timelines. Projects that share benefits earn legitimacy. Projects that ignore people earn resistance. We choose legitimacy. Youth will not only work in this system, they will lead it. We will create a cohort of farm-to-port fellows, young graduates who spend a year rotating through farms, warehouses, labs, and ports, solving real problems with real accountability. Their projects reducing moisture variance at harvest, cutting turnaround time at weighbridges, improving inoculation techniques, will deliver savings measured in days and dollars. Innovation is not a department, it is a habit. In the excitement of exports, let us not forget resilience at home. We will protect a strategic grain reserve proportional to domestic needs so that exports never compromise food availability. We will maintain transparent triggers for export slowdowns if domestic prices spike. The point of prosperity is not to decorate statistics, it is to protect households. What will success look like in 3 years? Hundreds of thousands of hectares under climate-smart cultivation, average yields rising year on year because extension advice is grounded in data, farm gate prices that are fair and predictable, storage losses cut by half, crushing plants operating near capacity, poultry and dairy industries growing because feed is steady and affordable, export shipments leaving on schedules buyers can trust, and a public dashboard where anyone can see key indicators, yields, prices, jobs created, water usage, and compliance with safeguards. What will success look like in 10 years? A diversified rural economy where soy shares the stage with rotation crops and higher value horticulture, a network of research stations breeding varieties adapted to our soils and climate, a cadre of local engineers maintaining plants and improving processes, an export brand associated with quality, fairness, and sustainability, and perhaps most important, communities that can point to schools and clinics and say, "The harvest built this." To those who doubt, we offer measurable commitments. To those who hope, we offer a hand and a hard hat. To those who fear that we will repeat old mistakes, we offer open books and open meetings. The world may be shocked that a nation once treated as a price taker is now a deal maker. Let them be shocked. Let them also be informed by our conduct, disciplined, transparent, inclusive. There will be problems, a shipment delayed by weather, a batch rejected for moisture, a road washed out by unexpected floods. The test of leadership is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of solutions. We will maintain contingency funds, emergency repair crews, and alternative carriage options. We will learn quickly and correct publicly. This $2.6 billion agreement is not a trophy to hang on a wall. It is a tool to be sharpened. It will demand early mornings in fields and late nights in control rooms. It will test our patience when a conveyor line jams and our character when a price dips. But if we hold to our principles, farmer-first economics, environmental care, honest books, shared gains, we will convert this deal into something rarer than shock, respect. And when respect deepens, partnerships multiply. New buyers arrive not because they are dazzled, but because they are persuaded. New investors come not because of noise, but because of numbers. Our children will inherit not only land, but know-how, not only plants and warehouses, but the confidence to build new ones. They will speak the language of standards and the grammar of contracts. They will read the soils and the markets with equal fluency. Let us proceed then, with steady hands and clear eyes, plant with care, build with rigor, audit with courage, share benefits widely, protect the vulnerable, celebrate the apprentices, the truck drivers, the lab techs, the agronomists, every woman and man whose work will turn promise into product and product into prosperity. The world is watching. Good. Let them see a country that can farm and reason, negotiate and nurture, export and include. Let them see a people who do not flinch from scale or from scrutiny. Let them see the harvest, weigh it, test it, pay for it, and come back for more. And when the first ships dock in distant ports and the cargo doors swing open, may the labels on those bags say more than origin and weight. May they say, in effect, here is a nation that chose discipline over drama, partnership over dependency, and the long, patient work of building a future where fields are classrooms, roads are lifelines, and trade is a bridge across oceans. May they say respect earned. May they say more to come. My friends, putting farmers first is not a slogan. It is the only sensible way to build durable prosperity. A farmer-first value chain recognizes that every link, from seed to ship, must be designed around the people who plant, tend, and harvest our food. When the farmer thrives, the whole country benefits, markets stabilize, jobs multiply, and schools and clinics can be funded from steady incomes rather than the charity of boom years. Practically, this begins with guaranteed demand and fair contracts. Long-term offtake agreements give producers the confidence to invest in improved seed, soil health, and irrigation. Contracts must be written in clear language, include quality standards, delivery windows, and price formulas, and provide dispute resolution mechanisms that are cheap, fast, and local. Payments should be immediate and digital, mobile transfers that reach the household, not layers of middlemen who extract value along the way. Aggregation is next. Smallholders must not be left to negotiate alone. Local aggregation centers with calibrated scales, moisture meters, and basic drying facilities reduce post-harvest loss and give farmers bargaining power. Cooperative models that are professionalized with transparent governance, audited accounts, and trained managers turn fragmentary lots into volumes buyers can rely on. These centers become hubs for inputs, extension services, and microcredit disbursement. Quality matters. Farmers should be trained in best practices for planting, pest management, and harvesting windows so their crops command premiums. We will invest in local labs and certified inspectors so grading is objective and reputations are earned. Price premiums for certified quality or for environmentally friendly practices reward stewardship and raise incomes without relying solely on yield increases. Risk management is essential. Weather index insurance and warehouse receipt financing shield families from shocks and unlock working capital. When banks see insured harvests and digital traceability, lending flows at lower cost. Public funds can subsidize premiums in the first years while the market matures with clear exit plans. Services must come to the farmer. Extension officers equipped with mobile tools provide timely advice, input packages delivered on credit to be repaid at harvest, reduce barriers to improved yields, mechanization hubs rent equipment at affordable rates so productivity rises without displacing labor. Training women and youth deliberately expands capacity and equity across communities. Transparency and grievance channels build trust. Public dashboards showing prices, volumes, and compliance with social and environmental commitments allow citizens to hold actors accountable. Community liaisons resolve disputes quickly and ensure benefits reach households. A farmer-first value chain is an ecosystem. Reliable contracts, aggregation, quality assurance, risk tools, accessible services, and transparent governance. When each element is designed around the needs of producers, not the convenience of buyers or the profit of intermediaries, agriculture becomes a ladder out of poverty, a source of national pride, and a foundation for wider industrial growth. Let us build such a chain with urgency and fidelity to those who feed us all. My friends, turning raw export into local processing is not merely an economic tweak, it is a decision to capture value at home, create sustainable jobs, and build industries that compound wealth rather than sending it away. For too long we have shipped our harvests and watched the real profits accrue elsewhere, to crushers, packers, and brands far from our mills. Processing at home keeps the margin, creates careers, and makes our economy resilient to the whims of commodity markets. Practically, this begins with building the facilities, crushing plants, refineries, cold chain rooms, milling lines, and packaging factories placed close to production hubs. But buildings alone do not suffice. Each plant must be linked to a reliable supply chain, aggregation centers, certified storage, and predictable logistics so that factories run at scale and margins are not eaten by downtime. When a processing line runs consistently, it needs accountants, lab technicians, plant managers, electricians, forklift drivers, and maintenance crews. That employment is durable and regionally distributed. Local processing multiplies value across the economy. Soybeans become meal and oil. Oil feeds kitchens and factories. Meal feeds poultry and dairy, lowering costs and growing animal protein industries. Byproducts become inputs for soap, biodiesel, and feed supplements. Each transformation spawns small suppliers, packaging firms, pallet makers, transport companies, spare part fabricators, and compost producers. The multiplier effect is concrete. Wages spent in towns, taxes funding clinics and schools, and suppliers learning international quality standards that let them export components themselves. We must shape incentives wisely. Fiscal instruments, temporary tax relief for new processors, matching grants for technology upgrades, and soft loans tied to employment and local content targets help bridge the initial investment gap. Procurement policies should prioritize domestically processed goods in public institutions, hospitals, schools, and military catering. That creates domestic demand while markets for export are negotiated. Quality and standards are the passport to premium markets. Processing must meet food safety certifications, traceability requirements, and international grading so buyers trust our labels. Invest in labs, training for quality managers, and certification subsidies for small processors so they can access regional and global buyers. A reputation for reliability raises prices and attracts long-term contracts. Skills matter. Training academies for plant operation, maintenance, food safety, and logistics ensure technology is matched by talent. Partnerships with universities, vocational centers, and private firms can fast-track certifications and apprenticeship pipelines. Women and youth must be prioritized so processing creates inclusive opportunity. Finally, governance ensures gains are shared. Contracts must include enforceable local content, environmental safeguards, and community benefit clauses. Independent audits and public dashboards track jobs created, volumes processed, and compliance with labor and environmental standards. Sunlight prevents capture. From raw export to local processing is a strategic pivot. It turns commodities into careers, shipments into factories, and fleeting revenue into durable development. Let us invest in plants that hum, hands that learn, and systems that keep value where it grows, here at home. My friends, sustainability and safeguards are the quiet promises that turn profit into legacy. If we are to plant for export and growth, we must also plant for the soil, the water, the people, and the seasons that come after us. True development preserves the biological and social systems that sustain life. It does not pillage them for a single fiscal year. That is why every contract, every hectare brought into production, and every processing plant built must be governed by high standards that protect ecosystems, secure rights, and spread benefits. Environmental assessments must be more than paperwork. They must be instruments for prevention and design. Before a single furrow is plowed, independent studies should map sensitive habitats, wetlands, and seasonal water flows. Buffer zones must be established around riparian areas and sacred groves. Where irrigation is introduced, systems should favor micro-irrigation and water-saving technologies, and groundwater withdrawals must be metered and regulated so aquifers are not mined for short-term gain. Reforestation and agroforestry belts reduce erosion, sequester carbon, and provide alternate incomes for communities, so planting trees is both ecology and economy. Social safeguards matter as much. Land agreements must respect customary tenure and secure free, prior, and informed consent. Where relocation is unavoidable, it must include fair compensation, replacement land of comparable quality, and investments in new livelihoods, housing, schools, and clinics. Grievance mechanisms must be local, accessible, and empowered to halt project actions until fair resolution. Inclusion is not a side note. Women, youth, and marginalized groups must have seats at negotiation tables and priority in training and hiring targets. Pollution control and waste management are non-negotiable. Processing facilities must treat effluents to international standards, manage solid waste responsibly, and minimize greenhouse gas emissions through energy efficiency and cleaner fuels. Circular approaches using byproducts as feed, compost, or bioenergy turn waste into value and reduce environmental footprint. Transparency underlies trust. Environmental and social impact reports, monitoring data, and audit results should be publicly accessible in plain language. Independent monitors, including civil society representatives and academic partners, should verify compliance. Tying disbursements to verified environmental and social milestones creates incentives to do right, not merely to claim it. Finally, resilience is part of sustainability. Climate-smart practices, crop rotation, soil conservation, diversified cropping systems must be embedded in contracts and extension services. Insurance mechanisms, contingency funds, and adaptive management plans help communities absorb shocks and learn. If profit comes at the cost of degraded land, polluted water, or fractured communities, it will not endure. Let us therefore commit to development that endures, profitable but principled, ambitious but anchored in the long-term health of our people and our planet. My friends, modern logistics and traceability are the invisible architecture that turns farmers' toil into trusted exports and local prosperity. A shipment's value is not only what is in the sack, but the confidence buyers have that it was handled properly, stored correctly, and delivered on time. When logistics are smart and traceability is precise, spoilage falls, prices rise, contracts lengthen, and markets reward reliability. That is why we must treat these systems as strategic infrastructure, not optional add-ons. First, aggregation and storage must be professional. Local collection centers need calibrated scales, moisture testing kits, and drying facilities to ensure that quality is secured at the outset. Certified warehouses with first-in, first-out protocols and humidity control reduce post-harvest loss dramatically. Warehouse receipt systems that issue verifiable digital certificates allow farmers and cooperatives to borrow against stored grain, turning idle stocks into working capital without forcing immediate distress sales. Second, transport corridors must be efficient and reliable. Timely pickup schedules, GPS-enabled fleets, and performance contracts with hauliers reduce delays and cut costs. Investing in durable roads and secure staging areas prevents losses from theft and deterioration. Where rail and inland waterways are options, prioritize multimodal connectivity so freight moves by the most cost-effective route. Logistics hubs near processing plants shorten last-mile distances and raise plant utilization rates. Third, digital traceability is the passport to premium markets. From farm ID to batch code to shipment manifest, a tamper-evident record verifies origin, handling, and quality tests. Mobile apps let extension agents log planting dates and input use. Aggregation centers upload test results. Labs post certificates, and exporters attach QR codes. Buyers can scan to see the full chain. This visibility lowers transaction costs, reduces fraud, and builds brand value for our products. Fourth, quality assurance and labs are non-negotiable. Accredited testing labs must be accessible regionally, so aflatoxin, moisture, protein, and other metrics are independently verified. Rapid testing at collection points combined with confirmatory lab checks before export protects our reputation. Training for inspectors and incentives for accurate reporting reinforce integrity. Finally, governance and standards bind the system. Clear service-level agreements, public dashboards showing real-time metrics, turnaround times, losses, inspection results, and grievance mechanisms for farmers and buyers create accountability. Public-private partnerships can fund platforms that aggregate logistical data and forecast demand, enabling adaptive scheduling and reducing bottlenecks. When modern logistics and traceability are done well, the whole economy benefits. Farmers earn more, processors run efficiently, exports arrive on schedule, and our nation's reputation grows. Let us invest in the systems that make trust portable across borders, because trust once built and demonstrated becomes our most valuable export. My friends, inclusive finance, jobs, and capacity building are the engine that turns opportunity into shared prosperity. Money and skills must meet at the village gate for development to be real. Finance must reach the small farmer as easily as it reaches the large firm. Jobs must be durable, not disposable, and training must lead to real work, not empty certificates. If we want the benefits of large deals and big projects to ripple through every town, then our financial systems, labor markets, and training institutions must be deliberately designed to include the many, not just the few. Start with finance that walks to meet people. Credit windows tailored to smallholders, women-owned enterprises, and youth entrepreneurs offered at concessional rates with simple collateral frameworks. Unlock investments that pay back in livelihoods. Warehouse receipt financing turns stored grain into bankable assets. Micro-leasing lets cooperatives rent mechanization without draining capital, and risk-sharing facilities protect local banks so they lend where private appetite is thin. Public guarantees should be catalytic, time-bound, and transparent. They push capital into real businesses rather than create permanent subsidies. Mobile payment platforms and linked savings schemes ensure funds reach households directly and cheaply. Jobs must be real, local, and progressive. Procurement clauses tied to local hiring quotas and apprenticeship targets convert contracts into employment programs. Infrastructure projects should include explicit pathways for unskilled workers to gain credentials and move into technical roles. We must prioritize decent work, contracts with safety standards, fair wages, and social protections so that employment advances dignity rather than precarity. Support for small and medium enterprises through business development services, matchmaking with lead firms, and preferential access to contracts creates an ecosystem where jobs multiply in supply chains and not just on site. Capacity building is the bridge between promise and performance. Vocational training must be demand-led, co-designed with industry, and coupled with internships that guarantee hands-on experience. Training centers should offer modular certifications recognized by employers across the region, and mobile training units can reach remote areas. Special scholarships, stipends, and childcare support open doors for women and caregivers. Incubators and technical extension services help entrepreneurs turn ideas into scalable firms with bankable plans. Governance and measurement matter. Set clear public KPIs for finance disbursed, jobs created, apprenticeships completed, and firms accredited. Independent audits and citizen feedback loops ensure commitments translate into outcomes. Data-driven monitoring lets us adjust programs fast when they underperform. Finally, inclusion is strategic. Widening participation raises productivity, reduces inequality, and builds social cohesion. When finance reaches the smallest enterprise, when training opens pathways to the technical middle class, and when jobs are decent and local, growth becomes resilient and shared. Let us therefore design our deals so that money hires people, training builds capacity, and every community sees concrete returns. In that way, development becomes not a headline, but a habit,